Hi little learners, I am Pip, and today I would be summarizing Kubla Khan by S.T. Coleridge. Kubla Khan was written in 1797 but was published in 1816 on the request of Lord Byron. When this poem was written, Coleridge was living in his farmhouse, which was located between Porlock and Linton. He was in his farmhouse because he was dealing with ill health, and to cope up with his ill health, he was under the influence of painkillers and drugs. Now, what these painkillers did to him was, it made him sleepy. So, when he was reading a book by the name of Purchas's Pilgrimage, in which there was a mention of Kubla Khan and his castle, he fell asleep. In his 3 hours long sleep, he saw a vision, which he wanted to convert into a poem. After waking up, he was confident of composing at least 200 to 300 lines, but was interrupted by a traveller from Porlock, and this traveller took about 1 hour of Coleridge's time, and after the meeting, Coleridge was only able to compose 54 lines. For better understanding, I have divided these 54 lines into 4 parts. So let's start with the poem. In Xanadu, Kubla Khan has ordered the construction of his pleasure dome. It would be mostly for his entertainment purpose. And this pleasure dome is to be built upon the sacred river Alf. This river comes from huge caves which are almost measureless to man. And where this dome is to be constructed, 10 miles of fertile land is enclosed, and in that very enclosure there are a lot of gardens and streams. There are also sweet smelling trees in that enclosed area, and even around that enclosed area there are green forests on which the sunlight hits beautifully, and a beautiful imagery is created. Next, Coleridge talks about this deep romantic chasm. Chasm is an opening inside the earth. To translate the word chasm into Hindi, the closest translation is darar. So yes, there's a deep romantic chasm, and Coleridge calls it a savage place. He compares this place to a place where a crying woman would be searching for her demon lover because the demon lover, after making love with her, has deserted her. And the imagery in the background is that there is a decreasing moon or the waning moon, which is a moon which is only slightly visible. Now, coming back to that deep romantic chasm, from that chasm there is a ceaseless turmoil of rocks and water, water forcefully coming out of that chasm, and all the rocks which are coming out of this chasm are bouncing back into the surface of the earth. Then, in the lines between 25 to 36, Coleridge tells about this river Elf, which is a 5 mile river, and this river comes from the caves which are already told as measureless to man. And from these caves, by creating a rustling sort of sound, it goes into the lifeless ocean and creates this splashing sound effect of like water full of life coming into this lifeless ocean with a splash. Amongst all these noises, Kubla Khan hears his ancestral voices prophesying war. They are telling Kubla Khan about the wars he has to fight in future. Now these ancestral voices gives a brilliant supernatural effect. Now he tells us about this pleasure dome. The reflection of this dome could be seen in middle of this river Alf. Coleridge praises the amazing architectural skills of this dome. He tells us that from the top the dome looks like quite sunny, but inside, in the basement, there are caves of ice, meaning the basement or the flooring of this very dome is very cold, and there is a chilling atmosphere inside. Upward there is sunlight, but inside there is ice. Now, this was all about the vision seen by Coleridge. Now he tries to remember another vision that he saw some other time. And in that vision he saw a very young woman who was an Abyssinian maid. Abyssinian is African. And this African maid was singing of Mount Abora, a song which is dedicated to Mount Abora. And Coleridge says if somehow he could revive the song, he could remember the lyrics of that song, he could remember the melody that this song created, then what he will do. If he can remember that, he would create a dome in air, meaning thereby he would write such a poetry and such an imaginative poetry that all the readers who are reading his poetry can visualize this dome in front of their eyes. And after reading that poetry, everyone would be fear struck, they would be in awe, they would be fascinated, enchanted by reading this poetry. that it's a masterpiece created by a poet. He actually exaggerates his poetic genius, and this would make Coleridge not a normal human being, but a superhuman. This is all which Coleridge tells us in these lines, that if he can remember what that Abyssinian maid was singing, he's actually also regretting the fact that he cannot remember what else he saw in the vision because he was interrupted. So this was all from Kubla Khan.